Let's See What You Got on our show now for a little while, and people are absolutely loving it. So congratulations.
Oh, that's great to hear. Wow, fantastic. Thanks for playing it.
Ah, no problem at all. So, mate, for a lot of our listeners, that was the first time they ever got to hear your band. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the history of the band.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's truly an honor and a privilege. Yeah, so I've been a musician pretty much my whole life, and been, as most musicians have, been through many a band, and starts and fits and starts. And about 2 years ago, I reconnected with my lead guitarist from a previous band, and I had spent some time writing some tracks, and not sure where they were going to go, and reached out to him and said, hey, I laid down some music. Are you interested in listening to them and maybe playing the leads? He's like, yeah, no problem. So I sent them to him, and he listened to them. He's like, yeah, I love these. And he laid down the lead. This is John Griffin, my fellow radical. And he laid down the lead beds, and then we connected with a studio right outside of New York City, and sat down with them and said, we're not quite sure where this goes or what we're doing with this, but let us play these tunes for you. And they're like, wow, these are actually not bad. We like these, and we can do some things in the mix and work on it. So we did that, and we said, I think we got ourselves a gig here. We got ourselves a band, and that's really how the Simple Radicals started. Was just me kind of working on an original project, and developed and morphed into where we are today. And so far, so good. We're having a lot of fun, and thanks to you and other folks, we're getting a fair amount of airplay.
Now, the big question that everybody is asking us is Let's See What You Got part of something bigger? Can we expect another EP or another album from you guys sometime in the future?
Well, I think we're probably, as it seems to be, unless you're like Adele or Taylor Swift or some some major artist, I think we're probably past the point of coming out with albums, and now we're just going to release singles. So we already have an album out called it's called New Revolution, and that's got 8 tracks on it, and that came out in towards the end of 2019. And since then, we've just been releasing singles. We released a song prior to. We've actually come out with 3 singles since the album came out. The first one was called. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of the song already. Rich Man Wanna Be King. And for those who keep track of the politics of the United States, you probably can imagine who that song was written about. Our previous leader. Yeah, and so there's a video that we made for the song "Rich Man Wanna Be King" that's on YouTube. It's a band. I call it the Band of Trumps, and it's a really cool song. And we shot it at Factory Underground Studio right outside of New York City. And the 4 band members are all dressed like Donald Trump, and we put it on YouTube. And it hit like 200,000 views in like no time.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what was fun about that was reading the comments. As you can imagine, some liked it and some did not. So that created quite a dialogue. And then there's another song. I'm a huge fan of Jefferson Airplane, and their iconic song "White Rabbit."
Yep.
I've always wanted to do a version of it, a reimagination of White Rabbit, and we teamed with a really cool husband-wife duo called Cheval, and came out with this really cool reimagination of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. And so that's out. And then this, Let's See What You Got, just came out, oh my God, I don't know, not that long ago, in the last few months, was a funny story behind that song. We were playing some shows up in Michigan, and there was a band that was opening up for us. It was a pretty full house, and I was standing in the crowd and just watching these guys. Great, really cool band playing in front of us. And this guy comes up to me, and I don't know, maybe I don't know what I was wearing that made me look like I was in a band. I was probably the least band-looking person in the room compared to what other people were wearing. And he's like, he's like, hey, you look like, I'm like, yeah, we're the Simple Radicals. We're going up next. And he told me about your music. I'm like, we're a little bit of Pearl Jam meets Foo Fighters meets Green Day meets Cheap Trick, maybe a little Petty. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes, all right, man, well, let's see what you got. And I said, okay, So that line always stuck with me for so long since we were playing that. And I'm like, I know there's a song in there somewhere. And so the song really, now we produced a couple videos that are out on YouTube that we did it to sports. We did one to to wrestling and one to the Olympics, and we have a football one that our football, not your football. Although we should do one to what we call soccer out here. But it's really, if you listen to lyrics, it's really about a band getting ready to go play on stage, and and when bands show up, like any other performer, you pay money and you go see people, and they're all going, all right, let's see what you got. And that's the genesis of that song.
Did the lyrics flow pretty well for you once you had that idea that you wanted to write a track around the saying, let's see what you got?
They did. It's funny you should ask that. They really did. I was just thinking, it was because it's my songwriting is a little bit funky. I don't know if it's funky or not, but I mean, I when I start writing material, I start seeing pictures, which I don't know if it makes it easier or harder, but I start kind of writing around visuals. So I created this visual as if I were literally, as we were getting ready to go on stage to play, and then you get up on stage, and then kind of the coda of the song is, all right, we've played our show, and it's great that you still want us to stay. So I kind of had this whole kind of storyline mapped out. So I wrote it in like 20 minutes. It just flew out, and I'd come up with this kind of this rockabilly opening riff, which just really helped, kind of drive the tune. So, it was a fun process. Sent that over to John, and I said, and I never tell John Griffin, my fellow Simple Radical, how to, what he should do on the leads. But I said, it screams a little bit of Queens of the Stone Age, a little bit of ZZ Top. And so he kind of blended the two together to come up with a really cool lead bed. So.
And with all the lockdowns and the quarantines and things, do you guys find it tough to get into a studio to record, or had things already started to open up for you by that time?
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't. I know you guys have been going through some tough times too. The Northeast got hit really hard early, so we were shut down, and John's based in Chicago, so between the two, New York City and Chicago, it was pretty challenging. But the studio we work with, Factory Underground, they were open for business. But we did a lot of our work. I would lay it down, send it to him, and he would do all the recording and get our drummer and bass player in the same room, all wearing masks and hazmat suits and everything, and then send it back. And then I would get in the studio and lay down my vocals. So we did it, which a lot of bands are being real, kind of creative in how they write and produce their songs, but we never really did it in the same studio. I flew to Chicago and we did some mixing together, but we never recorded it in the same room, which is funny. I guess that's what you do these days.
Yeah, definitely. So everything's opened back up there for you guys now. Are you out there doing shows? I saw on Facebook that you are doing some shows. What's that been like, getting back out there and being able to play live after 12 months of a layoff?
Yeah, it's first of all, just to get out and play again, it was just fantastic. And in New York City and in Chicago, in places where we were going to play, everything was pretty much shut down, as you can imagine, and they were limiting the crowds, and a lot of bands were just not even really spending the time or the energy to try and go out and play. And finally, this past summer, we played a really cool outdoor venue in front of a packed house in August. So we were kind of hesitant to go indoors. All the four of us weren't really comfortable getting in a room that's, you've been in some clubs are a little roomier than others.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure how, if we were booked to play, like who's going to show? And it's like, are you going to play in front of a crowd of 2 or a crowd of 500? So we just decided to just kind of sit tight and be selective when we played. So we played a real cool gig in the summer, and then we felt a little more comfortable, and that's what's happening now. We're playing a really cool venue right outside of New York City called the Fairfield Theater Company in January, and then we've been a lot of folks have been wanting to see us in Chicago, so we literally just announced our first gig in Chicago in, oh my God, like 2 years. It's been crazy. So we're headlining a show there, and we're going to see how they go. I mean, if January is a little funky, that's our deep winter. And everyone's talking about the COVID possibly rearing its ugly head again as it gets chillier. So we'll see how they go and how comfortable we are and how comfortable the crowd is, and and if the local authorities start messing around again and with restrictions or shutting things down. So it's kind of a wait and see, but we'll try these 2 shows and go from there.
Definitely. Well, mate, we're gonna play the track on our show again right now. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take another listen to this amazing track?
Oh, well, first of all, Melbourne and everyone listening to this this great show, thank you for your support and listening to our music. And boy, we would love to come down and play down there and open up our music to a whole different audience. So enjoy this. We really love this song. It's one of our favorite songs, and it's a great song to play live. The crowd really gets into it. So enjoy this tune, and please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts, and stay radical.